Welcome to Kandy Quotes. We'll be talking about something that is super important, just like every other human value that we've been exploring or talking about different weeks. Today we'll be talking about responsibility. Did you know that you can change that word responsibility, or not change it, but break it up into 3 different parts? Well, you can, and the first part is for respond, which is obviously to the response that you will give to something. The other part of it, the middle part of the word, means it comes from the Latin word wisdom. And the last part is the ability that you have to respond. So basically, it's the ability that you have to respond with wisdom. There you go. Being responsible as a person yourself, you're responsible for who you are. You're responsible for your thoughts, your words, your actions, your image. You're responsible for yourself, for what goes in and what comes out of you. Now, the other part of responsibility that we have to be aware of is how we deal with our families, okay? Our family responsibility is super important, especially if you're a parent or if you're planning on eventually become a parent. You have to be really careful with your kids and how you teach them and the values that you show them, because what you do, they will see it. Even if you tell them to do something different, they'll be like, Mom, Dad, you don't do that. So just be really careful with your actions, because it will eventually affect your kids. Let your kids be responsible for their own things, that is being their homework or their school work or their lunch box or whatever it is their responsibility. I'll tell you something that happened to me when my daughter was about 4 years old. I remember taking her to the VPK and I dropped her off, and that day I kind of rushed out of there. I was super busy and I went to work, and as soon as I pulled up to work, I looked down and there was a lunch box. I was like, oh, not today. So I rushed back to the VPK and I knocked on the door, and the director of the school came and opened the door, and she said, what happened? I was like, well, I forgot to bring my daughter's lunchbox. And she was like, no, you didn't forget. That's not your responsibility. And I looked at her and I was kind of confused. I was like, what do you mean? I am the mother. I'm supposed to give her food. And she was like, no, I understand that she's 4, but it's her responsibility because it's her food. So if I allow you to bring her food in after the time that you dropped her off, I'm telling her that somebody else is responsible for her food, that somebody else is responsible to take care of her, when it's in essence something that she should be able to do it. I mean, you can cook it, you can put it in the lunchbox. That's what you should do as a mother. That's your responsibility. But it's her responsibility to make sure that she brings her to school. And I remember thinking about it, and I was kind of like, holy cow, like, I'm learning something new, and I thought I was doing the best of the best by taking care of my daughter and going above and beyond. And sometimes we tend to do that, and it's actually not as okay as we think, because when we do that for our kids and we take care of our kids and, like, we cover them with everything and no worries, I'll do it. We got to remember that we're not going to be there forever. So if we tend to do that, eventually when they get older, they're not going to be able to fly on their own, because we've been doing it for them. So that day I learned that lesson, that, you know what, she was right. I had the opportunity to take it as being offended, or just take it as, as a learning opportunity. So I took it as that. And from that day forward, I remember that my daughter got home and she was like, Mom, when everybody pulled their lunchbox, like, I didn't have my lunch. And you know what? It's my responsibility. Like, she was like ready to say that it was mine, but she had already had that conversation at the school with her director. And the director of the school said, it's your responsibility to take care of your lunch because it's your food. And from that day forward, she never again forgot to bring her lunchbox. Like, we would be at the door, like almost at the door, and she was like, Mom, my lunchbox. She would get her lunchbox. So what I'm trying to tell you with this story is that it's their responsibility to take care of their own things. Sometimes we want to overpower, and sometimes we want to just do a million things, and we forget that if we don't teach them that from the get-go, we're not making them, we're not helping them get stronger and being better. We're actually enabling them, and that's not really what we should do as parents. So just keep that in the back of your head. Now let's move on to our responsibility in the social life. Well, our responsibility out in the society is to really take care of the society as a whole. What are we doing? What are we instilling in our society? What are we showing our society? That is our responsibility when we go out there. If we can take care of somebody, if we can help somebody, if we can really show our values in everything that we do, we're helping our society, we're growing together. And the same thing, we can do it as in a work environment. Sometimes we go to work and we just are having a bad day, or we just kind of want to do things halfway. But because we say, well, this is what we get paid an hour, like it's not worth my time. And guess what? At the end of the day, it's not about what you get paid an hour, or what you were doing, or the type of job that you're doing, or the person that you're working for. It's about yourself. What are you doing? Everything that you are doing is your responsibility. So if your responsibility is to do a certain amount of hours, or a certain amount of jobs or works or whatever, just make sure that you do that, because it is your responsibility. The day that you signed up for it, or the day that they told you, hey, listen, this is what you have to do, you assume that responsibility, and therefore you have to take care of it, or do it with the best of the best, because at the end of the day, it is you as a person that is important, not the job itself, not your boss, not the entity that you're working for. It's you. And that's what really you have to keep in mind. Remember that if we're responsible, we have benefits just like every other thing. And one of the benefits that I can mention to you right now is being organized. If we are organized because we're a responsible person, we're for the most part a person that is organized. And yes, and I know it may sound like, what do you mean I have to be organized to be responsible? Well, yes, because if you're organized, then you're able to have a better schedule. You're organized obviously with your time because you have a schedule. You're organized with the things at home. You know exactly where things are. You're more efficient because you're organized. That's something that we also have to teach our kids. Everything that you can teach those little kids, or it doesn't matter if they're 2 years old or if they're 12 or 22, like at the end of the day, anything that we can inspire other people around us, at the end of the day, we're gonna have a much stronger society. And can you imagine if I'm doing my part over here, you're doing your part over there, and then you do that with your kids, I do that with my kids and the people around me, and you do the same, and here we are. How many people are watching this video and eventually will watch it? Can you imagine like how much we can grow and how much we can make a society stronger? That's just amazing. So just keep that in mind. Another benefit of being responsible is our image, how we look. Sometimes the way we look, we are home and we kind of like wear whatever, and we forget that we got married, or that we are with a person that we have next to us, and we have to show them our best version ever. Why? Because that's a person that is with us for the rest of their lives. We have kids. What are we showing our kids? If we get up in the morning and we go ahead and take a shower, kind of brush our hair and put some, clothes on. I'm not saying the nicest clothes that you have, but definitely just get rid of things that are just, that have holes in it and that are, not making you feel good. Get rid of that clothes. You don't need that anymore. But you do need something that makes you feel good. Why? Because you have to give them your best version, because they're there with you every day, because it's going to make you feel better. And then if you feel better when you look at yourself in the mirror, you are going to do your best. You're going to give it your best, because that's how you feel. So start with that. The image is super important. And guess what? It is, at the end of the day, our own responsibility to be the best version of ourselves. And lastly, we're going to be talking about honesty. If somebody is responsible, that person is honest. Okay? If you're responsible with the things that you're supposed to do at work or at home, or even with yourself, you're somebody that is honest. Okay? If you're responsible with the time that you're supposed to be doing something, or time frame, or type of work that you are, well, you are honest. You're honest with yourself. You're honest with the people that you're providing the service or the work for, because that's part of that all goes together. It ties together. It has to do with the things, knowing what you're supposed to do at the time that you are, and being able to respond or having the ability to, and the wisdom to respond properly to every situation in your life. Well, remember, all these videos, I'm making them with a lot of love and a lot of passion and a lot of humility, to be honest with you, because I want to make society stronger. It doesn't matter if this video gets to 10 people or 10,000 people. The whole point is for each one of us to watch these videos and really grow, because every time I sit over here I previously learned, I previously studied and read a lot of things about whatever subject I'm telling you today. So I am educating myself so I can put myself out there, because that's my responsibility to put myself out there with something that I already know. I have some studies on what I'm showing you, giving you some substantial information. Share it with others, because at the end of the day, it's about making our society stronger. Remember that you can find us at Kandy Quotes, and that's on Instagram, on Facebook, and very soon we'll be on different platforms, so we'll be sharing that as well. Thank you again for being here, for giving me the time, and remember to always do your best. God bless you.
It's Kandy.